Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'm Hector, and I'm here with my co-host Gilbert.
Hey, everybody.
Hope you've all had a great Easter. We're back, better than ever, rearing to go. Hope you've had a good 3 weeks. I've had a pretty good 3 weeks. It was good to have some time off on holiday. Hope everyone else had a good little break as well. Had a based and blessed Easter. We're back, and we got some interesting topics to cover. Got some crazy ones. We're going to be covering the drama about the supposed hate crime, the hate speech crimes that have been going on with the rainbow crossings. Maori's seething some more as that's sort of like the default these days. Some stuff that's going. We'll cover the strike, the Israeli strike on the aid convoy, along with a couple other things, including Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, because that's happened during our 3 weeks break, and there's been a couple of things going on there over the last 3 weeks, and a few other things as we think about it. So how's your holiday, Gil?
Oh man, it was good, just spend time with the family, saw some friends, just had an all around good time, man. And it was wet, so, jumped into Lamborghinis, did some drifts. Nah, just jokes. But
Took
no,
your
it was a really
McLaren
good
out,
time.
did you?
What, pardon? What?
Took your McLaren for a spin, did you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was great. Just took it around. Yeah, it was awesome. How about you?
Yeah, same. Except I didn't take my McLaren out. I ended up taking out my my
Yep.
Ferrari. Yeah. No, anyways, so seriously, it was a good Easter. Hope everyone had a based and blessed Easter. Well, I guess we'll get right into it. We didn't have an intro video sorted because we were sort of like literally getting links,
Mm.
so we didn't quite have an intro this time. But we'll go straight into our first topic. Here we go. Most horrible crime that's ever happened in New Zealand history. Police treat painting over Auckland's K Road rainbow crossing as a hate crime. What the?
Ooh,
Whoa,
oh,
this sounds
yeah.
big and scary.
Yeah.
Someone painted on the road. It's a hate crime.
Yeah, pretty amazing that they just hype these, silly things up. But
Well, it's
yeah.
actually insane because they call this like vandalism, they call it a hate crime, but I like maintain it's not even vandalism because there's no property that's actually been damaged. Like all they did was paint on the road.
Mm,
So to say this is even vandalism, let alone a hate crime, is sort of crazy. At worst, it's graffiti.
mm,
And the actual way that the police conducted themselves in the aftermath of this, considering it's like simple graffiti, is absolutely insane. So it says
mm,
here, I mean, this is from a couple of weeks ago at this point, 2 weeks ago, that the crossing in on K Road was vandalized, and then it goes that officers raided a property in Flatbush that was linked to the owners of a vehicle involved. So you're having police literally raid people's houses and confiscate their vehicles
mm,
because of graffiti?
mm. Oi, mate, do you have a license for that paint can and paintbrush, mate?
Yeah, it's actually sort of crazy. Like, I hope this goes to trial because I think there's actually a good chance that the offenders could get like not guilty verdicts just because of the over the top police response, like selective enforcement, really. So you could
Mm,
argue selective enforcement. They probably could get off not guilty by a
mm,
jury because the police response to this is nuts. And they're treating it as a hate crime, even though it's literally the definition of a victimless crime.
mm,
You
mm,
painted on a
mm,
road? Like,
mm.
what? Do you hate the road or something?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the real hate crime is, them trying to indoctrinate everybody's kids with this kind of crap. You know, I think that's the real hate crime. But yeah, I agree. I think is a good chance that this could be overturned, and I think that Brian Tamaki and his wife are doing something about that. So that should be pretty interesting. But yeah, it's insane. It's insane the response to this. It's like we're literally occupied by the gay flag and not the New Zealand flag or something, Is that the way that we've responded? Because I wonder, like, if someone, I don't know, like vandalized the New Zealand flag, like flying somewhere on a pole, like how would
No, the
the
police
police
response to
respond?
literally be nothing. Like any sort
Yeah,
of graffiti,
I
the
think
police
so.
response would be nothing like every time.
Yeah,
So
I think if someone even like set a NZ flag on fire, um, the police would just like stand there, you know, and but with this, it's like, yeah, all hell breaks loose, and you're invading someone and flatbush someone's property. Yeah, crazy, crazy, man. It's like this
Well,
is
we
the
know
kind of
why that
stuff that.
is because,
Mm,
homosexuality and liberalism are basically the new religion of like our
yeah.
globalist, like capitalist society. So
Mm,
that's why you just disrespect the homo faggot flag. That it's basically a bigger crime than, assaulting someone, stabbing someone, murdering someone. Like there's been softer responses to literal like rapes and murders than someone like
mm,
putting some paint on the road.
mm,
It's
mm.
actually sort of nuts.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's people better wake up to this because this is like the steady slope towards Britain level authoritarian, uh, autocracy, I guess. Under the flag of gayness, but I think this kind of marks a bit of a maybe a bit of an inflection point, really, because people see all this kind of stuff with all the tranny stuff and all the gay stuff, and they see it particularly in the US, but they begin to see it in New Zealand, metastasizing in New Zealand, and New Zealanders are like, okay, like I get what's going on now, that they've been seeing this build up for such a long time. Whenever they first got the right, or they have a right to get married, and
This is
I
what they
think
did in
this is
Gisborne.
probably
There you go.
just many things to come, really. And just one second.
But yeah, I mean, it's not just happened in Auckland. It originally happened in Gisborne. It happened in a couple places at once, I believe. Auckland, Gisborne, and maybe uh, Nelson, I believe. It happened in a couple places. Rotorua as well. So it's interesting that this is like treated as like a worse crime than like literal, you know, assaulting people, like violating people, violating people's rights, or personal property, like painting on the road is one of the worst crimes you can do because it is like doing this is a direct challenge to basically it's a direct challenge literally to Globo Homo.
Hmm. Yeah, no, precisely, and that's why they don't like it. We all know where this comes from. This flag is created out of the cultural Marxist, communist Judeocracy that is kind of taking over the whole world at the moment. Taking over. It's not taking over Russia and China, might I add, but it is taking over Western nations. Who are and
Not even
uh,
just Western, a lot of like Eastern nations, South
mm,
America, even like
mm,
the Middle East and whatnot's being infected with this like nonsense.
yeah. Oh, they're trying to spread it as far as they can because this flag, people don't realize it, but it actually has its origins in Judaism, Kabbalistic Judaism, where basically it's I won't go into all of it, but it's one of their symbols that they use to wage war against the goyim, and I'll leave it at that. But people can research that and check that out for themselves, and that's the earliest kind of origin of where this kind of rainbow stuff sort of come. People think it's from the Bible, and people say something like, "Oh, they're mocking God," and I think that's part of it.
Oh, I mean that is part of it. I mean it
That,
was the covenant with Moses after the flood. The rainbow was
yeah,
the sign of that. So I think there is an element to that,
oh,
definitely.
absolutely. Yeah, they are mocking God by saying like, haha, you can't destroy us because of, and this is what we think of your covenant, basically. That very disrespectful, highly disrespectful. But it even, the who's go even a bit further than that in their oral traditions, and they have quite a fleshed out idea when it comes to this symbol. So yeah, that's another side of it. But yeah. Hmm. So what are we talking about here? He was
Oh, I
oh,
mean we're just sort of just talking about how this has happened. This happened in multiple cities. It happened in Gisborne, Auckland, and Hamilton. Uh,
well, there you go, man. I mean, that says it all. People are just like sick of it. Like, I mean, all this happened. People were like, I don't really want to have anything to do with this, but I'll just whatever. I'll just try ignore it. And I don't know why they're so militant about this, but this is that's what a lot of people did. But now it's just like, man, I think people are just so sick of it now, and they see the sort of militant, sort of aggressive and they see it being pushed on their families, and people are just like, nah, that we can't tolerate this kind of crap anymore.
I think it
So
definitely has reached peak. Like, I don't think it's going to get much more popular than this. They pretty much reached peak maybe about 2 or 3 years ago.
mm, mm, yeah, yeah, I think the whole zeitgeist, I think everybody can sort of sense like that we're still dissidents, and a lot of people are who kind of are beginning to think this way, but yeah, I think we can see that the spirit of the time is beginning to morph into something else, and that's real skepticism of all this kind of what people would commonly refer to as woke crap. But yeah, the
All right.
wokesters, the wokesters.
Yeah,
Google.
I mean, people call it wokesters, but it's mostly just like communism and globalism is
Yeah.
basically what the woke ideology is. I think speaking of that, there was like wasn't there like a thing recently where libs of TikTok, who's obviously Jewish, was like asked by some like communist, it's like, what does woke mean? And she gave like some really weak, really weak
Mm,
response. Where it's like, well, actually, it's communism, globalism, anti-whiteism. Like that's pretty much what wokeism is. It's
mm,
not. It's a
mm,
pretty easy definition, but obviously because
mm.
she's Jewish, she couldn't actually give that response.
Yeah.
She just came up with
Always.
like nothing.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, she would have that sort of response, very convoluted and just pure gobbledygook, really. So, yeah. Um,
Gracilla
Interesting.
Israel says, "What were they expecting, painting an Australian flag on the road like that? I thought that was a French flag.
Oh
Isn't that a
God.
French flag here? I thought that's French."
Yikes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so this is the next story. If you've been reading the news of the last week, there was a bill put out that all councils that have added Maori wards will have to put it to a referendum whether they keep it or not. Mate, Maoris are just dismayed. Isn't there more? It's like a common theme, right? Like the government does something, and then Maoris are always just, "Oh, we're dismayed. This is unacceptable. How dare people say we need to get elected to our positions? No, Goyong." Like, so yeah, the local government minister announced that Maori wards that councils that brought Maori wards without polling residents will need to hold one or scrap the wards they had set up. Those referendums would have to take effect from the 2028 local election. So, yeah, so if you remember back in about 2020, there was a few places, I believe like Hastings and maybe a few others, that did a referendum on whether they should add Maori wards, and they were all voted against. Like they were all voted down in some pretty large margins. But then they just went, oh, we're just going to do it anyway. So it's sort of interesting that the government's going, no, actually, the people should actually be consulted whether these unelected bureaucratic positions get added to the council or not. Considering it's basically just like a waste. It's basically just like more. It's like Maori bureaucratic bloat. It's like brown bloat in the like bureaucratic sense. It's like we want more money. The councils are going to give us to us via your rates.
That's a great term. I really like that, brown bloat. That's you should
Yeah,
trademark that or
bureaucratic
something.
brown bloat. That's sort of what it is. It's all
Yeah,
over the like
that's
public
ex-
sector and the local councils.
yeah. I think you should trademark that or something. That's perfect. Yeah, maybe even that's like a separate show entirely that we could do, bureaucratic brown bloat. But yeah, no, it's becoming a big problem, and it's all like you hear about this and how this has happened, and it's like, oh, my democracy, yeah, we're. I mean, they're always saying my democracy, non-stop to us, and we're not honoring democracy as right wingers somehow. And it's just like, man, it's all so tiresome. When does so-called democracy and freedom begin for us?
It doesn't. That's the
Um,
whole point. It
that's
doesn't.
the whole point. Yeah, well said. And I mean, this is where it really has to all come to, is that people have to realize that it's actually only right wing, actually kind of Christian white people who really actually care about everybody having a fair go and fair play, and these kinds of values that come from the Anglosphere, really. So Yeah, I mean that's got to really. I mean, these people, they just like to make it tribalistic. Just in the days that they were kind of running around in the forests, you know,
Running
it's
around the
it's got
forest eating each other.
yeah.
You have to add that last bit. It's always funnier.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Running around in the forest eating each other because I guess they just
They ran
tasted
out of
so
mowers. They
good.
ran out of mowers, so they had to eat something else, I guess.
Yeah, it's not like they could have just like fished or something, cast out a line or something like that, or yeah, I don't know, maybe import some ostriches. But yeah. So I mean, this is the tribalistic nature of things that will always come from these people. There is no sense of fair play or fair go, or democracy and justice for all. It's something that European people are just going to continually have to become cognizant of, and yeah, we all need to talk about this kind of thing, guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see because I think, Wellington Council has introduced it, I believe, like Christchurch Council, Otago,
Mm,
Auckland, all these places introduced these, like Gisborne, introduced the Maori wards without actually asking anyone. Palmerston North, pretty much like half the councils now, introduced them without any sort of referendum after the first like two or three referendums all failed. So it'll be
mm,
interesting to see how many of them keep it. Probably not that many, because people are, yeah, I mean, we saw it in Australia. People are getting sick of like brown people just demanding free stuff all the time. So
yeah.
I don't really see that trend shifting in the near future. So I expect most of the Maori wards will be disestablished by it's not the next local election, it's the election after the local election. I don't know why they're not doing it in the next local election, which that would have been next year. It seems like a better time to do it. So they're saving it to the referendums till 2028. I don't know why they should have just done it in 2025. Seems a
Mm,
bit strange, but we'll see what happens there. It'll be interesting. And I'm
mm,
not sure
mm,
if the like attitudes are going to change. And it'll be interesting to see polling on it as well.
mm. Yeah, well, yeah. As you say, I think people are just tired of this bureaucratic brown bloat, as you say, and
Yep.
it's not benefiting anyone, is it? It's just unnecessary fat, Um, so people are sick of it, and it's permeating all other areas of NZ life. So it's just the same thing that we all have to counteract everywhere. Yep, yep.
Oh, it says right here, the previous government decision to abolish the need for a referendum on Maori wards had helped to increase the representation of local councils to the highest rate ever. Yeah, maybe like literally they have, yeah, after the government said we're allowed to do it, we got all these unelected bureaucrats into positions. Wow, it's crazy.
As
Such
far
representation.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, so there you go. They just shut it down. Like, was there any like question into that, or was there anything else like, to, what? Why were you allowed to do that or anything?
Well, because the first couple failed, so that's why the government got rid of the need for the referendum on the local level. Because I
Okay.
think it failed in Palmerston North and it failed in like, I don't know, like somewhere else, like Turanga or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Turangi. I don't know where it was. It was somewhere else. But yeah, so it failed the first couple of times. So then the government's like, oh yeah, now you just don't have to do the referendum. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we didn't
I
get our
wonder if,
way. Now you didn't vote the right way, so now you can't vote on
yeah.
it at all.
As in, yeah. I wonder if there was any sort of like inquiry into that, or because that's pretty alarm.
Probably
Like,
not.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that just goes to show you how much of a tight knit, yeah, network they are. And again, it's just like it's again just like with the gay pride stuff. This is a similar vein, It's this cultural Marxist kind of thing permeating the political realm and the realm of law in our society. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's
We got NZSNat in chat saying, lol, human hungy. Well, I mean, that's basically what the Maoris were doing before the Europeans showed up and went, no,
mm.
no more doing that. No, you're not allowed to eat each other anymore. I'm sorry. We're sorry, but you're just not allowed to do it. We're just not going to allow you to eat your cuzzies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I wonder how they got that one across to them. They probably just with the introduction of KFC. Maybe
Yeah,
that
that's
maybe
probably
that
was
was
about right.
they say,
All right.
yeah.
Oh, we should have mentioned it last time. So this is continuing with what we were saying before about the crossings. I mean, to be fair, like the Tamakis can be sort of cringe. Like they were the ones doing the huckers for Israel. But
Oh no, yeah,
yeah, remember
that's
those?
right, they were, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
remember all the videos in like
That
Auckland and in
was
Wellington of them doing the huckers for Israel?
God.
That was
I
sort of
swear you could
cringe.
just get like anybody to like any um sort of movement or any celebration or something. It's just like, oh yeah, call up the Maoris, like get them to do a haka for this. Like it could be anything, you know. And yeah, anyway, so hakas for the Holocaust. What do we got?
So, anyways, so this is their statement over the last couple of weeks after they've done the protest. They did a protest at like a tranny event, and then they've painted over a couple of the like homo crossings.
Mm,
So Brian and Tamaki and associated Auckland ratepayers plan to sue the Auckland City Council and its libraries for the misappropriation of ratepayers' money across the super city of Auckland. I mean, to be fair, good luck because I doubt you're going to win that. But it's
mm,
good that they're
mm,
bringing it to attention.
mm,
It'll
mm,
be,
mm,
the council investigated themselves and they found out they did nothing wrong. So that's literally going to be what the decision is.
mm, mm. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I guess that's yeah. Wait, the people painting it over did nothing wrong. That's what they mean, or
Oh well, I mean, the reason is Brian and Hannah Tamaki are going to try to sue the Auckland Council, saying that they're wasting money. But it's like,
oh right.
good luck getting the council to admit they're wasting money. It's like just never going to happen.
Mm.
It's,
Oh right.
it's
Yeah,
basically
yeah. No,
impossible.
that's yeah, yeah. Far out. Yeah, good, good. Yeah, but I guess yeah, they're drawing attention to it. Maybe that's the main thing. So,
Yeah, because I mean, in court, this is
and
not
that
going to
is
win,
useful.
but they are drawing attention to it.
Yeah, and that is useful. That is helpful. It's not for naught, as they say. Um, and yeah, that's a good thing, I guess. Even if they can do that, and if it does get somewhere, well, great. But yeah, the fact that someone is drawing attention to this is good. You know.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of, like we said earlier, I think our last stream we did, there's a lot of bloat in the public sector for central government, but there's just as much bloat in the local councils as well for just random nonsense that, ratepayer
Mm,
money is getting spent on.
mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Well, we'll see how that goes, but there's pretty much no chance they're going to win this in like court.
Mm, yeah. The council is New Zealand, is the NZ establishment,
Yeah, I know
I
that's the
guess.
thing. So the
Yeah.
establishment's going to be like, oh, we investigated ourselves and found out no money was wasted. So
Mm,
it's
mm,
going to be exactly what happens.
mm.
Well, anyways, I guess we'll get on to the Candace Owen topic. This happened pretty much like the day or two after we did our last episode 3 weeks ago. There was a split in the Daily Wire between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens because, well, Candace interviewed like Rabbi Shmuley, whatever his name is, and made Jews look bad. So then she got fired from the Daily Wire.
Oh, it was what happened was basically after October 7th and the quick response to October 7th, Owens said, you know, of course I don't like what happens, you know, on October 7th with Hamas attacking Israelis, but I also don't like the response. That was basically
So like a
all
very
she's.
sort of,
Mm,
reasonable
yeah,
reasonable take. Oh, I don't like casualties on either side.
yeah.
Apparently that's enough to, I don't know, to make Ben Shapiro go like nuts and lose his mind.
Well, what happened to that? If I can elaborate a bit further is yeah, the otherwise known as the butt plug Rabbi Shmuley, his daughter actually began just viciously attacking Owens for weeks, just weeks and weeks of just pure vitriol towards Owens, calling her anti-Semitic and this and that. Just for saying, you know, what she did, you know, she basically just said, I don't like any of this, you know, a very reasonable take, as you
Yeah.
say, and um, and then you know she swung back at um, his daughter, and then Shmuley began, you know, the butt plug rabbi selling dildos with his daughter, began, you know, attacking her, and they both ganged up on her, and then she was saying, you know, all this not gonna lie, pretty base stuff, and then she had that debate with Rabbi Barclay, and she totally wiped the floor with him. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was very. that was very entertaining. And then Alex Jones had a debate with the Rabbi Shmuley. But then ever since then, basically Owens has not backed down, and she's standing by what she originally said, which is, I don't like this disproportionate response. She said, of course, I don't like what happens on October 7th, but I am uncomfortable with what is happening to the Palestinians in such a disproportionate way. And yeah, that has caused the Daily Wire to become completely crazy
I mean,
over this.
there've
And
already been massive shills. I mean, it's sort of interesting. The best part of it is watching the Daily Wire fall apart because they've been like some of the biggest gatekeepers in like American conservatism for about, I don't know, a decade at this point. So
mm,
it's
mm,
interesting to
mm,
see them completely fall apart over the ongoing situation in Gaza. But anyways, let's see what
mm,
Shapiro has to say for himself.
mm,
We have literally tens of millions of people in the United States who are afraid that the cancel culture is coming for them. And cancel culture does exist. Okay, so what this results in very, very often is corporations looking to cram down a particular viewpoint on you and then cancel you. When it comes to the hosts on the Daily Wire, obviously everyone is able to say what they want. But the reality is that there is an Overton window at the Daily Wire. There are polls out there that show that a vast majority of Americans in every single political group, including liberals, feel like they cannot say what they want to say in public because they're afraid that they are going to be canceled, fired, cast out from polite society. This actually happened to a socialist moron named Nathan Robinson. He got canceled from The Guardian. And he said he got canceled from The Guardian because he had put up some anti-Israel tweet. Okay, now I think he's an idiot. I think that his views on Israel are abhorrent, but I don't
His
think
views
that
on
he should
Israel
lose
are
his
horrible.
columnist
I
slot
wonder what
over
his
at The
views on
Guardian. It's a
Israel
different
were.
story, obviously, when it comes to any publisher. Any publisher gets to make decisions about what it wishes to purvey and not. He certainly would not defend anybody on the other side who got canceled. In fact, he has repeatedly said cancel culture does not exist. Okay, it does exist. The fact that there are people out there who want you to lose your job for the sin of saying things they don't agree with is extraordinarily real, and it is happening on a moment-by-moment basis. The Daily Wire is a publisher, not a platform. Publishers obviously have to decide what sort of things they wish to pay for the publication of, and when it comes to hosts and publishers, parting ways, obviously there'll be a non-meeting of the minds. That's pretty much all I can say on that. Obviously, there was a non-meeting of the minds. That's pretty much all I can say on this.
Non-meeting of the minds. What does
yeah,
that even
that's a
mean?
weird thing to say. Yeah, I mean, yeah, isn't that incredible? But yeah, you're you're allowed to have free speech up until a certain point. You're
Well, until you criticize Israel, apparently.
yeah, 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 and I think that's what people on both the left and the right are both recognizing. It's literally your free speech ends where my long nose begins. And yeah, I think that's what a lot of, and Owens is kind of really the perfect person to do this because she is so popular, and she does have sort of black woman brownie points naturally. So it's
Well,
like
she's a
an
sassy black woman, so she's got the
yeah.
sassy black woman. She's a sassy black woman that don't need no man.
Yeah, but she was quite she is quite competent. She can hold her own in the debate, and she is good in that way. So and people I think do a lot of normies do agree with her. So that's really fantastic that she's bringing the Overton window more toward this issue. But quite honestly, I mean, if we're really genuinely about free speech, then this conversation has to happen, and it's been a long time coming, man. Because this is, Ben Shapiro in that clip just before was talking about, oh, liberals and even liberals can talk about it, but I mean, really, can have their free
It's
speech, but
interesting that like
the,
uses the one like position. Oh, this guy got fired for talking about Israel, and then he fires
mm,
someone for talking about Israel as well.
mm,
I know those
mm.
were taken at different times, but that is sort of funny.
Yeah, no, it is kind of interesting how, but if you work at the Daily Wire, then I guess you do get fired if you have, you know, a view, not even really she started off by saying, I just don't like what's happening, and I think the Israeli government needs to stop this immediately and allow aid for these innocent civilians who are going through hell. That's all she was saying, which is it's really quite incredible. And if you kind of if you listen to her debate with Barclay, and you look at Shmuley, it's almost like a caricature. They don't really have to try very hard for the so-called anti-Semites that they're so virulently against. It's really they're kind of stereotyping themselves, really. But so that's yeah, really makes you think. But
All right, should we see what we heard what Shapiro had to say? Let's see what Candace has to say.
all right.
Kanye West, notoriously, obviously, when he tweeted out, "I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on some Jews," and the media freaked out, and people in the Jewish community were understandably very scared, not knowing what he meant. And I very much abstained from speaking much about the issue because people were so emotional that people couldn't hear, even if I had shared. And even when Kanye did share that he was speaking about specific people in Hollywood that he believed were coming after him and were trying
think they
to
were.
control
I mean,
him.
that's sort of like
Rabbi
proven.
Shmuley
Oh, yeah.
Boteach was threatening me, and it wasn't just him, it was also his daughter. They were messaging me saying, "Don't mess with Jews." Very bizarre stuff, and they have not stopped, to be clear. And so what I believe
It's
is
literally
something
like
that should
cries
be
out in
explored is
pain as
whether
they
or not
strike
what's
you. It's sort of
happening
interesting.
Yeah.
is that
It's
just
the
like
mafia.
within all communities, there are gangs, right? Gangs can form. We understand this. In the Black community, we've got the Bloods and we've got the Crips. Well, imagine if the Bloods and the Crips were doing horrific things, murdering people, controlling people with blackmail. And then every time a person spoke out about it, the Bloods and the Crips would call those people racist, would get the media to say those people were racist. Any person that was talking about a specific gang, a small group of people, would say, "Oh my God, no. That's like slavery. You can't at all say anything bad about the Bloods and the Crips."
Hey, it's
and
not
the
a gang,
entire
it's a
Black community
coincidence,
believed
don't you
it and
know?
was scared and thought, "Oh my God, like, is slavery actually coming back?" But what if that is what is happening right now in Hollywood? If there is just a very small ring of specific people who are using the fact that they are Jewish to shield themselves from any criticism? It's food for thought, right? And I think, again, there have been enough people that are speaking out about a ring in Hollywood, also a ring potentially in DC, that we should start to ask those questions. All of us, Black, Spanish, Jewish, Chinese, Japanese, all Americans
doesn't say
should
white,
want
though.
answers because this
Well,
appears
that's
to be
funny.
something that is quite sinister. Kanye
Yeah.
West.
I guess white people can't really talk about that thing because they're it kind of people are saying like kind of being a bit shitty about it. I hear some people say like, "Oh, these black people are doing all the work. Why aren't you white people,
I mean, there
speaking
are white
yeah,
people
well,
speaking out
there are
against it.
tons of them speaking
Yeah.
out about it, but the reason why that is because, well, as I mentioned earlier, black people have these, black brownie points where they are of a higher sort of cultural caste in modern America and everywhere. To be honest, they're not judged the same, so that's kind of why it's like the Jews are going, crap, we can't really come at them the same way, you know and even Barclay kind of conceded to that idea that I'm describing that has more weight than I think people realize. And he said, "Oh, I don't get to tell a woman when she's experiencing misogyny. I don't get to tell a black man when he's experiencing racism, and you don't get to tell a Jewish man when he's experiencing anti-Semitism." But yeah, it's so. I mean, she pretty much just laid out the whole situation in the United States perfectly. Bloods and Crips obviously being a metaphor for Republicans and Democrats, and what is the bipartisan issue? That's the thing. Look at that image you just scrolled down to. That's RFK with the butt plug Rabbi Shmuley, and I think that's his wife, and yeah, like we showed in an earlier episode, Hector.
Well, I mean, to be fair, RFK is probably like the most pro-Israel candidate right now, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as we showed before, how he just wouldn't answer the libertarian guy on his show.
About what was it, APAC or something?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
I
a good
remember
5
that.
to 10 seconds. Yeah, so yeah, she's really pioneering this, and it's great to see. And the latest I've heard is that they're going to be setting up a debate. between Shapiro and Owens.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
what's happening with that because Shapiro wanted to do it
mm,
on his platform so he could monetize it, but I think Candace like reasonably
yeah.
didn't want to do that so that Shapiro could make a bunch of money off this debate and wanted to have it somewhere neutral. I don't
Mm.
know, maybe just do it on Rumble or something. It shouldn't be that hard.
Or X, yeah. I think
X, yeah.
Jeremy Boring, the CEO of the Daily Wire, conceded to a lot of Owens's demands and said, "Yeah, okay, fine, we won't do it on the Daily Wire. We won't do it here. Blah blah blah." And so I don't know. We've yet to hear about some of the developments of how this is going to go, and it's yet to be finalized. But I would really like to see Shapiro finally debate Fuentes. I think that
Oh,
would
that's
be
never happening.
yeah. Well, never say never. Never say never. You know, it could. You know, look, we could see Nick Fuentes trending, and then we can see Shapiro right underneath him. So we who knows? Funny things can happen. I know what you mean though.
We got
Like, oh, that's
WrestleMania though.
hey.
I
Oh,
don't know.
WrestleMania.
I'm just looking at the trending
Yeah,
thing. It's like
yeah, they're
WrestleMania.
they're
Ben
gonna have
Shapiro and Nick are going to wrestle. We're going to do a WrestleMania live Rumble event. Rumble
Yeah.
in the ring.
That would be awesome. That would be so sick. But yeah. So this has been a long time coming. Thank God it's finally happening because I mean I gotta say this is like a
Well,
major white pill.
I mean,
And
we've mentioned this before, but the discourse like has changed from it used to be, oh, if you say like Jews are in charge of Hollywood, it's a conspiracy theory. Now the
mm,
discourse is more, yes, Jews are in charge of Hollywood, but you have to either argue whether that's a good or a bad thing. So,
mm,
but like the
mm,
discourse there's already shifted, and on a lot of other topics that are unrelated to Israel and Ben Shapiro and
mm,
AIPAC and the media. We have got a lot of ground on a lot of topics. So yeah, like Jewish power is one of them. Another one is immigration. I mean, our guys pretty much have already won the debate on immigration.
mm,
There's a lot of changes in places like Europe. They're finally introducing some harsher immigration laws in places like Sweden and Denmark and
mm,
the Netherlands and stuff like that. So we've won the debate there. The next step, obviously, with immigration is repatriating a lot of these like interlopers, which has
mm.
already started in a lot of places. I think even Denmark's sort of leading the way, which is sort of funny.
This is amazing. Yeah.
Denmark's leading the way of like, okay, we got all these refugees here. What's the best way to send them back? So like
Mm,
Denmark's already sort of leading the way there. It's an interesting topic that we could cover more. It'd be good to have like a Danish guest or something that can come on and
yeah.
talk about it. But there's lots of interesting things that are happening in Denmark, and it is sort of going on under a lot of people's radar. But
Mm,
at the moment, like Denmark went from being like, yeah, we're going to let in every single refugee possible, like they did during the, um, you know,
mm,
Yugoslavian wars. They let in all
mhm.
these like Bosnians and stuff. Then they
Oh
let in
no.
all these Syrians, and then they went, oh, actually, no, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Let's send them back.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
not let any
Totally.
more in, and let's start sending the ones that are already here back. So it's sort of interesting to see that happen in Denmark.
Big ups to the Danes, man. Good, the Great Danes.
Yeah, and I mean also you had 2 years ago we're talking about this off stream once how Poland handled their border crisis when the Belarusians were
Yeah.
like importing all these like Afghanistans and Syrians and Iraqis
Mm,
to basically try storm the Polish border. They just went, oh no, here's like a bunch of water cannons and tear gas. We're not going to let you
mm,
pass. We're just going to keep spraying you with water and
mm,
build a big fence and patrol it. And within like 6 months, the crisis had been like solved.
mm,
And I don't think Poland or Lithuania took in pretty much any of these migrants. So
mm.
it was a big
A-
W for Poland and Lithuania there.
They should have added soap to the water, and then they really would have deterred the Indians. Nah, but but
No, actually, the funny part? I was reading this. After they won that like border crisis, the Polish state issued like victory coins. They're like, here's like the victory celebration,
Can,
memorabilia of coins that we like won against these migrants on the border and pushed them all back.
can you bring that up?
Yeah,
I'd actually
let me bring this up.
yeah, that victory coin sort of that's kind of cool. It's like the Polish think they're like in Mario or something.
Yeah, it's like the
There's
memorabilia coin. You know how like on special events they will introduce like this special 50-cent coin? They did
mm,
that for the border crisis.
that's that is pretty cool, man. That's actually pretty awesome. Um, yeah, I mean, heck, if whoever breaks
Here we
this,
go.
oh, here we go. Oh,
bring
share
this
it
up.
with me if you can.
Yeah. Poland issues silver coin honoring the forces at the border crisis.
There we go.
So yeah, they issued this about a year after they like sent all these smelly migrants back to Belarus. It's pretty funny.
So was it actually the currency that part of the currency that they use?
Yeah,
Or...
they don't use the euro, so they use the whatever the heck that's called,
Oh,
zloty.
and look at the zloty. That's weird. And look, to the zloty, Poland honors those who have defended the nation's eastern border from a crisis instigated by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. There you go. Him and Putin have been working so hard to direct these migrant flows to like Finland and throughout Europe, to be honest. So this is like largely like Putin and Belarus is largely responsible for a lot of this. You know, they have their own ways that they direct
You can see
these
right there.
migrant flows throughout Europe. Yeah, President Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus, who threatened to flood the European Union with human traffickers, drug smugglers, and armed migrants in the summer of 2021. Yeah, and that's how Poland's confronted that crisis sparked by boomer President Alexander Lukashenko of
Yeah,
Belarus.
and then
It's
and then after they won, they issued a memorabilia, like a coin in memory of it.
yeah. There needs to be a coin of someone jumping on Lukashenko's head or something. I mean, he's such
Let's
a
see what
you know,
happens there.
yeah, he's such a that guy's you know he's just like I don't know. He looks like something like Stromboli from Pinocchio, who's just like a shifty guy, you know. And he's still there. Literally, the whole country came out to protest him and say, like, "Go away! We want someone else. Like, please just leave." And he's still there today. He's such an ass.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he was also. Oh no, he wasn't part of the KGB. He was part of like the. He was a military officer though in the
Yeah.
Soviet Union for like 20 years before he became
Yeah.
president of Belarus. So he was embedded in the Communist Party there for a while. Not quite KGB like Putin was there.
Well, there you go. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if he had some. You know, they probably did share a lot of intelligence with each other. And actually, another thing we found out, just quickly, briefly in passing, is that NATO found like 10 Russian officers that were working in NATO. 10 Russian intelligence officers.
Yeah.
That's Stoltenberg, Russian personnel expelled from NATO HQ, and it showed that they were doing intelligence work. I don't know if you want to bring that up, but I've shared it. But maybe you just want to move on. But...
Yeah, we'll just move on. We got Jason Walker in
Yeah.
chat saying, "What's up, guys? Hey, mate, how you going?"
Hey,
We've been
what's up,
talking
buddy?
about how basically, I don't know when you got here, but Poland, you know, sprayed these like brown migrants at their border with cannons and like shot them with tear gas and stuff. So like some pretty epic stuff.
That's awesome. You know, what a fun career that would be. Like in New Zealand, oh, well, we're on an island. So
Yeah,
we're
it's not
pretty
really
lucky,
going to
but-
happen here, but
Yeah.
I mean,
But
yeah,
there should be like a whole career pathway. Like, hey, do you want to shoot hot soapy water at like Indian people? You know, and, you know, kidding. But you know, do you want to like, yeah? I mean, if I was like a kid, like that would appeal to me, like shooting.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool, like shooting
Yeah.
tear gas at like these brown migrants trying to invade your country. That'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, so
A lot
Poland,
of excitement for a
Poland,
young man.
what the hell is a Poland? So Poland won at the border. They sent all the migrants back to Belarus. Then I don't know what happened to them there. I don't know if Belarus still has them or they went back to like Africa or wherever. And yeah, then they issued a coin in victory.
Well done, Poland, and well done, Denmark.
Seen that
That's
one.
great. Yeah.
All right. I think. Well, should we go on to this one?
Yeah.
So, big escalation going on in Gaza. This is actually sort of insane.
Yeah.
In Gaza, a aid convoy run by what was it, like the World Food Bank or something like that? Oh, the World.
Yeah.
What is it? Something. The World Central Kitchen. So the Israelis it's actually insane how this happened. The organization was in contact with the IDF the entire time. The IDF let them in. They dropped off their food, and then as they were leaving Gaza again to go back to Israel, they like a drone struck them with like 4 different missiles, like 4 times.
Yeah.
So they blew up
yeah.
one. I mean, it sort of goes into it here. So there was aid workers delivering food in Gaza, and then the Israelis. There was 3 Britons, a Palestinians, and a U.S. Canadian citizen, and a Pole, and an Australian. So a lot of nationalities here. They were, just driving civilian trucks. So obviously something that doesn't look military. It says right there, World Central Kitchen. So
Yeah.
it's on the roof as
Charity.
well, literally on the roof, on the windscreen, right on the roof.
Non-combatants.
Non-combatants, a charity delivering aid, and it got hit by 4 different missiles from a drone.
Yeah, crazy. And they always. And by the way, this is a big deal. And there were those like people. There was an American and Australian, as you mentioned, who died. But I mean, this is like nothing new, really. This is just what the IDF does for like since their creation, really.
I mean, just look at the USS Liberty. I mean, in some ways, this is worse than USS Liberty because these are just civilians.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, it's not really worse. I mean, 6 people died in the USS Liberty, but you've got people. They've got them literally blowing up foreign civilians that are delivering aid to Gaza.
That they knew
After
about,
they went through all the proper channels, they got the permission to the IDF to do it, and they get bombed anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, and kind of much the same way, actually. It does remind you of the USS Liberty, and it is kind of similar, and it does kind of remind you of that. And yeah, it's just totally crazy. You can go on Al Jazeera, and you can see a timeline of just all the insane civilian attacks that they've committed. Like it is just wild, like the one before I saw was just 3 women walking along the beach, and they just get struck by a drone, and it's even it's like all the time that there will be people running out with white flags out of a building.
Yeah, there was that one. There was like
children
literal,
and
like
yeah.
There were people leaving the areas under siege, and the IDF just shot them anyway.
Yeah, and even Israelis. There's even been like Israelis who come out and that they shoot them to shreds as well with machine guns from drones and copters and
Well,
yeah.
that's the thing with literally with October 7th. They go, 1,000 Israelis died. At least like 200 of those civilians were killed by the Israelis themselves in the crossfire.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just totally not. They're not discriminating at all, which is what any good army should do. They should discriminate between civilians and combatants,
and especially foreign aid workers.
Yeah, for goodness sakes. And this is just the people. Like, this is what everybody's saying. Like, just don't harm civilians. That's all we're saying. But then that's anti-Semitic, of course. So it's just really quite wild, and it really makes you wonder, like, are they trying to? I'm not going to say much because we're on.
I honestly think
this
is. I think this might have been intentional because it's no secret that Gaza doesn't. I mean, the Israelis don't want any aid going into Gaza. So if they just bomb like one aid convoy, all the other aid convoys are going to think twice before going in to deliver aid.
Oh yeah! Oh, absolutely! Yeah. I mean, they're blocking off. They've been blocking off, food and aid trucks since this crisis began. Really, they're not letting them in, and this is. I think they've been doing this to other trucks as well. Honestly, guys, there's just been so many like attacks on civilians who are just trying to help out the civilians of Gaza, and they get attacked and machine gunned and bombed, and they face all kind of resistance. It is really that insane. And if you look at the timeline's still probably up there on Al Jazeera. If you see it, you can just see all the stuff that's happened of all these civilians getting just slaughtered. It's really an exceptional kind of evil. Probably that's not the right word, but evil on a completely different level. And I don't get it, man. I don't get it. They just feel like they can do that, and somehow this isn't going to blow back on them. It just doesn't make any sense. But I mean, that's what they feel.
I mean, they've already done they've already not let in aid. They've killed tens of thousands of civilians, and there's been minimal blowback so far.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
this is going to change anything. But I think this is probably intentional. It's to deter other aid groups from going
Mm,
into Gaza because they go, oh no, the IDF might just shoot us for no reason.
yeah. Well, literally, they say the same things that Russians say about Ukrainians, calling them, subhuman and animals and orcs and stuff like that. So it's yeah, that's how they view Palestinians. And even though I've talked to pastors who have traveled there, and they say that the Palestinian Christians are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, some of the sweetest people you'll ever meet and talk to. And yeah, it's just horrible. It's just so horrible what's happening. And for those people who may be listening to this who say, oh, that's happening over there, why do I care? It's really, we should all care, because I mean, number one,
Well, number one, what's the plan? Like, are they what are they going to do with the 2.5 million Palestinians that live there?
Mhm.
Like, what are they going to do with all these people? I think one of the
Yeah,
main ones, obviously, I mean, Israelis have said it, just send them all to Europe. So,
yeah.
that's number one reason why I should care.
Well, yeah, yeah, okay. That's I mean, number one, and chiefly and primarily, I would say, is because it's the right thing to do to
Oh
care,
yeah,
because
obviously.
yeah, because this is just so incredibly evil. How could you not care? And yeah, it's we should all, and I mean, like, by extension, what's the standard if we're allowing, if nations are not shining a light on this and allowing this to happen? What's the standard for? Barbarism can just reign free, I guess. And number two is this is potentially a flashpoint for World War III. I mean, this is really why people really have to care as well, because not only is it evil, and it's morally right to care about it, especially if you're a Christian, but you know, yeah, this could potentially lead us into World War III. Israel is currently goading the United States and the Biden administration into striking Iran, which, of course, Iran is a proxy state of Russia. And look, things could really, really seriously spiral out of control, if this continues. And
Well,
it,
that's the thing. Speaking of barbarism,
mm,
I mean, just last week, Israel bombed a Iranian embassy in Syria. I mean, isn't this like
yeah,
part
yeah,
of,
oh yeah,
part of international law is that you shouldn't attack embassies?
mm,
Like,
mm, mm.
it's like one of the fundamentals of the international law, and it's just ignored by Israel.
Yeah, they're like a crazed animal on PCP. They're just striking everyone, killing everybody in sight. It's just totally insane. It's completely insane. Number three, this narratives are important and moral high grounds, and you know, even and this is I want to add on to this point with something else, is that people in the public, excuse me, in the public, and not everyone, but I noticed a certain group of people online, and I guess in real life, who see all this happening, and they see even Russia and China disavowing this, who have a terrible human rights record, who are, you know, terrorist states as well against their own people, and authoritarians, and who viciously oppress their own people, and who are responsible for genocide, obviously, as well. But even they disavow this, and just to a lot of the brainlets, they somehow this makes them support them. I don't get how that works
Yeah,
exactly, but the point is that they view this, that they're throwing shade at Western nations, when people don't realize this is a part of the global communist pincer strategy, where they use Israel as sort of like a decoy or an excuse to scapegoat the US and Europe for all the bad things that Israel is doing, while they make themselves out through propaganda distributed all throughout the world, especially the Middle East, to get the Muslims on the side of the Soviets, or the communists, the communist Chinese and Russians, which they are doing through BRICS and other initiatives. So Israel is really helping out Russia and China, I suppose, in terms of narratives and morals in this way. They're sending propaganda throughout all the Arab nations, which are causing them to hate the US and
Well,
Europe
that's the
like never
thing.
before. And
Oh,
then they're supplying Russia is supplying, and Belarus is supplying the inflows from these countries into Europe, and through the Darien Gap and the Mexican border into the United States, where there's
yeah.
potential sleeper agents. This is the Soviet communist uh, pincer strategy that they're using through Israel to screw the whole world up and gain dominance by using this strategy and by turning Muslim hearts and minds towards them, and making us out to be the bad guys when we're many European nations are against, their governments are fully against what Israel's doing, and
Yeah,
many
especially
people in the
Europe in
United
particular.
States,
United States, not so much. I mean,
the
objectively, the United States is still sending military aid to Israel, which obviously should stop.
of course, the government is, but the people of America, well, a lot of the people of America, I'll say, do not support this, and they're the most heavily propagandized to think that Israel, thinks that Israel is in the right, or some, which is just revolting to think anything near that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of Americans are like, yeah, this, we do not agree with this. This is wrong. This is bad. So even you can only really pin it on the United States government, and they're responsible, and Israel is responsible, but yeah, so that's all I'll have to say that. But I mean,
Yeah.
again, Israel was established by Soviets, and that's a fact. And the Balfour Declaration is a bit of a, you know insignificant compared to how much communists were involved in the establishment of the modern state of Israel.
Yeah. Exactly. We got Jason Walker in chat saying, "Have you guys talked about the presidential elections in Slovakia? It happened today, and the pro-Russian candidate won against the NATO Western Liberal candidate."
Yeah,
Don't know too much about Slovakia.
no,
Don't
no.
really know what the issues are there. I'm not sure if like the Ukrainian war or whatever is the biggest issue in Slovakia. I
Mm,
sort of doubt it, but
yeah, it
can't say
might
I know too
actually
much about the
be.
election there.
It might actually be because a lot of people are very concerned about it, and there is this is continuing to be a mounting issue with the Ukraine, because of course they're scared of Russia continuing to push east, but a lot of Russian propaganda is working on that. There's this strange strain of politics throughout Europe where they're very pro-Russian and very pro-Putin, and it's really quite strange. But you're not. The thing is what I'll go on record saying myself is, you're not really going to get anywhere by appeasing the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin. You're just not. Nothing. Nothing is really going to change for the better. Especially looking at what they're doing to the Ukrainians, and how Russians themselves are being treated. So I'll just point. I could elaborate, but I'll just leave that there. But
Yeah,
it's an
well,
interesting discussion. Sorry, Hector. Sorry, man.
yeah, I can't say I know too much about the current political situation in Slovakia. What the
It's kind of a dynamic that is playing out throughout all of the West, really. So that's calls for concern, because that's another level of the communist pincer strategy. But yeah, but thanks for bringing that up. Maybe we might check that out later.
Yeah, well, on that, I think we're that's pretty much out of topics, but this happened yesterday. There was a debate between Joel Davis and some libtard. What was his name again?
Yeah, Drew
Drew something.
Pavlou.
Drew Pavlova.
Yeah, people were calling him David
Yeah, I don't
throughout
know what
that
that's
whole.
about.
Yeah, it was pretty funny how they kept screwing us
I
up.
listened to
Yeah,
some of the debate, but let's see what Joel had to say and what.
What the Nazi idea? I believe in what
Okay.
the
So this is some clips. If you don't know, like Joel Davis is an Australian nationalist, advocates for white Australians, and Drew is like some Turk, half Greek
Is he Turkish? I didn't realize.
half Turk, half Greek, like libtard or something. So it's sort of interesting. The actual debate was pretty funny. There were some good clips in there. Basically, the entire debate was just Drew Pavlova seething the whole time and like not actually answering any questions. It was,
Yeah.
I don't know why this guy thought he could debate because he was honestly really bad at it. So I don't know what his whole shtick was there, or what he was trying to prove. But basically, just gave Joel like a chance to spout his ideologies on Elisha Shaver's platform where the debate took place. So listen to some of these clips.
I believe in what the founders of Australia. So you're saying the founders of Australia were Nazis? Our founding fathers were Nazis? That's how much you love Australia. You think our founding fathers were horrible Nazis, right?
Joel. Obviously, white Australia pre-existed.
Okay, so I believe in the values of the people who built this country. My ancestors who built this country, I share their belief, and I want to honor them by preserving their project. But Joel, I don't want my country to be reduced to an economic zone. What you say is it doesn't matter where you're from, what your culture is, what your religion is.
But what does he mean?
As
then?
long as you,
it's like, no, I don't mean economic zone. It's like, what does that mean?
You want to adopt these vague Australian values, which aren't Australian values. They are liberal internationalist values that were imposed upon us by our adoption into the American-led international order. They weren't developed in Australia. White nationalism is an Australian value. That was the value that founded this fucking country.
Wrong. Let me explain.
The
Real fast, Drew, you're creeping off camera. Can you move over? There you go. Like that. Perfect.
The source, one of the key, the creation of Australian democracy wasn't the creation of these white nationalists.
Yeah, it was. It literally was. Everyone was a white nationalist.
But let me.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to hear his response, but I'm pretty sure it was a non-response. Like
his
all his other
response
responses.
was basically like, "Oh, we live in a liberal democracy.
We live in a society.
We live in a society." Yeah, he gets clown makeup. Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I want my people to rule my own country.
Here's another one. I saw this live and I thought that was pretty funny.
I want my people to rule my own country.
So you want to kill millions of people?
I want my people to rule my own country.
I saw that live and I was just thinking like, what?
That cracks me up. Can we hear that again?
Yeah, I was doing a bit of a remix at the start because I don't know, there's something going on with the X player.
I want my people to rule my own country.
So you want to kill millions of people?
It's like, I want my own people to be in charge of our own country that we created. Wow, you want to kill 6 bajillion people, Goyam?
Why does that necessitate killing millions of people?
I don't know.
That's a complete non sequitur.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The entire debate was non sequiturs and responses that basically didn't even address the question, let alone answer it and provide a counterpoint. So I honestly don't know what Drew's strategy here was, because all he did was just go. He just basically set up like a ridiculous straw man the entire argument and go, "This is actually what you believe. You're evil." And he goes, "No, I didn't actually say it." And then Joel just like, "No, I didn't say that. You said that."
Yeah, which is like, yeah, but basically, which is like, when I think about liberal debates that they have with nationalists, it's the same thing. It's always the same thing. So it's oh yeah, got some likes. Which is like, yeah, it's always the same thing. It's like, oh, non sequiturs, and you actually believe this, and you're an evil.
Yeah, this is actually what you believe, not what you said. I'm not going to address what you said at all. Here's what you actually believe because I said so, and that's bad, and that's like the whole argument.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you're a super Nazi who wants to kill everybody on the planet or something, which is basically what they say. But yeah, so this is really no different to that, and his argument was, basically that, and we're all individuals, so we should be judged by our individuality. But the whole thing is that we are judging them by their individuality, actually, because we're noticing them.
Yeah, I mean, you notice a bunch of brown people, rioting and stabbing people and robbing people, and go, maybe we should have less of these people.
Yeah, that's literally it. There is no domain, even in the political system of liberalism, which is so inflexible to not allow people to say, okay, this people is causing a lot of harm here, right? Okay, let's do something about them. Let's police them more, or maybe they need to be deported, and all this kind of thing. I mean, I don't know why Drew is so adamant that, referencing his own ideology, that it has to be the case where, we can't do anything to benefit the broader populace of Native Australians.
Well,
So
I mean, that's sort of the
it's
thing. I mean, if you watch the
and
whole
I don't
debate,
know why that necessitates Joel being a super Nazi who wants to nuke the whole planet either. But yeah, go go ahead, go on.
well,
What are
I
you
mean,
saying?
yeah, the whole debate was actually sort of ridiculous. Yeah, you had
Mm,
Joel Davis put up some good points and go, "This is what I believe and why," and then the other guy goes, "Oh, you're insane! You want to kill 1 million people? This is actually what you believe, and I disagree with this like straw
mm,
man that I set up." And Joel just
mm.
like, "Look, I never said any of the stuff that you apparently responded to."
Yeah, yeah. There were also some funny moments in that debate. I'll have to rewatch that, but yeah, it
It
was
was
a
an
bit
entertaining debate, but I wouldn't say it's a good debate because like
nah.
Drew
uh,
didn't even debate anything.
no, it was even worse than yeah, it was just the same old, and that's why these debates between liberals and nationalists become like, what they call like alt-right hangouts online, alt-right online hangouts, because they literally just don't come with any proper material to contest our beliefs.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He
It's
didn't contest any of the beliefs. It's actually sort of nuts. I expected,
mm,
I would in there. I mean, I didn't expect like a
yeah,
very good debate because the guy's a liberal and liberal ideals and globalist ideals don't hold up to reality. So I didn't
mm,
expect it to be a particularly good debate, but
mm,
they literally didn't even debate. Like the guy
yeah,
didn't put any ideas forward. Drew
mm,
Pavlova didn't put any ideas forward. He didn't
mm,
like counter or
mm,
any of Joel's ideas or criticize them. He just
mm.
straw man the entire time and seethed. Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, that's it. And yeah, I expected better of him myself because although I mean, yeah, Joel Davis just completely used him like an old lawnmower or something. It was just like it wasn't even. It was just like Joel Davis, like just breakdancing on top of Drew's dead body, basically, doing a victory lap. But like, yeah, I mean, Drew Pavlo was the man who absolutely eviscerated with
Yeah.
facts and logic,
Well,
Jackson Hinkle, and that was like really good.
the
That
MAGA
was
communist.
yeah, the mega comment. Oh, brother. But yeah, he absolutely made a complete fool out of him, and perhaps that's low hanging fruit. But I mean, he came out with all these facts and figures, and he was really really quite brilliant, and owning Jackson Hinkle. But when he came to Joel Davis, it's like now Joel Davis is a very intelligent man, obviously, but I expected just like a little bit more, eh? Like, and it really just goes to show that what is the argument? We're kind of, and I think this is probably partly why we're seeing more of a shift to the right, is because and more of an acknowledgement of these issues that Owens is bringing up about, hey, there's this Judaic kind of Zionist aristocracy that rules over the world.
Yeah.
Should we not do something about it? And that was another feature of the debate. But of course, Drew Pavlova goes like, "Oh, you just want to talk about the Jews, 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 Jews," and
It's like
it's
he
just
brought it
very
up.
infant.
It's the thing
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
like Drew brought it up. It's like, oh, you're going to blame the Jews. And then Joel would
Mm,
go into a point that goes, oh, yeah, there's Jews in Hollywood, and Hollywood had a negative influence on Australia after World War II because we
mm,
became in the America's sphere after the fall of the British Empire. He goes,
mm.
no, don't blame the Jews, even though I was the one that brought up the Jews.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's just like character assassinations left, right, and center from liberals, and it's just not working anymore. It just doesn't stick. Like I've even noticed the anti-Semitic thing. Like people are just like, yeah, I don't really care. I care about what's happening to these poor people.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
it's so insane though. It's like I've been called that so many times, and it's like, mate, like what about these people who are just, you know, yeah, yeah, getting bombed. It's I don't know. You'll be able to see one of the notifications we got. We left a comment, and yeah,
Got this
they
one.
on yeah that one who was yeah it's and that's right. Is it Joel? Do you want me to read it or
Yeah, you read it.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Drew Pavlova said, yesterday debated a Nazi, 3 hours of the Jews, which it wasn't. He was actually very erudite, complaining.
He only brought up the Jews when Drew mentioned them first, really.
Actually, it was Drew saying the Jews. It's the other way around.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and complaining that I said genocide is bad. Not only are these people morally evil, they are extremely unintelligent, resentful losers who blame their own life failures on Jews, which is just total, nonsense.
Again, it's another straw man. It's literally
just
not what happened. It's not anything like that in the debate.
Completely unrelated, yeah. And then we replied with, Joel never advocated for a genocide against anyone. Come to think of it, I don't think you ever reasoned against the ethnic displacement and genocide of Australians. And where did did he ever do that, Hector? When you watched the debate, did Drew Pavlova ever his head does kind of look like a Pavlova, actually, especially with that hairstyle. Does kind of look like a big Pavlova.
Yeah, that's true.
But when you watched the debate, did Drew ever say, oh, look, Joel, like, you've got a point, like, this is, like, yeah, we should care about
No, he didn't say anything.
Australians. He didn't say I didn't catch anything. Yeah.
He didn't make any points. Like, that's the whole thing, though. He went into a debate and made literal no points or arguments. So it's not even a debate.
Yeah, totally. So it's just, but aren't white people are people too? Shouldn't we argue against genocide against them? And what is happening by the UN definition of genocide that Drew Pavlou likes to quote so much in his debates, especially with Hinkle, what is happening to Australians and Europeans in the West abroad and in Russia as well is a genocide, is an ethnic racial displacement of the native peoples in that land.
Yeah, exactly.
But he doesn't talk about that. He doesn't say, if he's such the moral good guy, I'm Drew Pavlou, I'm the big fat good guy, and my head looks like a Pavlova. It's like, where's the consistency? Shouldn't Europeans be treated with the same, and it's like across the board.
Yeah,
they're not treated with the same measuring stick, and it's like, why whites really have to look at this and go, yeah, we really need to stand up for ourselves because no one else is going to do it,
Oh, bloody boomers posting their retarded memes.
Posting.
No, this was like, oh my god.
What the hell is this?
Learn to control yourself, guys.
Yeah, jeez.
This is why no one takes you seriously. It's that's the guy that made the "Make Our Dern Go Away" hats and got cancelled by the media years ago. Yeah, he's like a 60-year-old boomer, so of course he's like posting softcore pornography on Twitter.
What? Why? What the hell? Why is it? Man, these boomers are out of control.
All right, we got a couple comments saying from Jason Walker. He says, on another topic, did you guys know Israel passed an amendment to the penal law adding sexual offences to those offences whose penalty can be doubled on the grounds of nationalistic terrorism, racism, or hostility towards certain communities?
Jeez. No, didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. And then he goes, does this sound like interracial grape? Because I can't say that word on YouTube. Whites and Europeans should pass the same law. I mean, yeah, there should be a law against interracial grape, to be fair. Interracial grapes. And then Greatest Ali Israel says, what the?
Yeah. But yeah, it's good that the right still. I mean, we've got to keep going. We've got to keep pushing through. But yeah, it's too bad because I was hoping that liberals would be able to make some concessions to the nationalist right, and like a couple of times I even thought Sargon of Akkad was going to do that, and I think
he sort of does. He sort of
does, yeah. But I just, and maybe it's actually better strategically that they remain sort of somewhat in the position that they are in, to lead people through that pipeline.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, that is
because
true.
some people are just too soft to, eat the hard steak and oysters that is the nationalist movement. Still, as unbelievable as that is, there are young white men that are being made all the time, and a lot of them are turning 14 to 16 years old and interacting with this material, so they won't be able to chew the big nationalist steak right away, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it's the Drew Pavlou and Carl Benjamin are sort of like
I
the
don't know
nice orange
Drew.
juice.
I
Yeah,
don't know if Drew is, but
yeah,
Sargon definitely more of that.
yeah. He's kind of the nice glass of milk or the orange juice that you can easily digest, but yeah, it's so in a way it's kind of like, yeah, it is what it is, but yeah, no matter what happens, we just have to keep advancing. And I gotta say, I don't know if it's the right time to mention this. But do we have any more topics, Hector?
None lined up, but if you want to mention
Mm.
something, mention it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I gotta say, I'm really I'm quite white pilled and happy. I mean, great. Joel Davis didn't even really have to try with that, but good on him for doing that.
I mean, like
And
any one of our guys could have won that debate. Like I was expecting, I didn't
yeah,
expect Drew to be so crap at debating
yeah. I thought he
or
would have come
standing
with
up.
something.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
come up with anything. He didn't defend his own ideas. He was just like seething for 3 hours straight. It was sort of insane.
Yeah, weird. I guess he thought maybe that would work, but yeah,
Yeah, I
very
never saw the
yeah,
Hinkle debate you mentioned. Maybe I should watch that. But
yeah. Well, that yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm surprised the guy apparently won a debate against Hinkle because he just got absolutely
Oh,
destroyed against David. Well, I mean, he's Hinkle. He's like a mad communist. So.
Hinkle's a brainless bimbo. Like the guy's just a total fucking airhead, man. It is kind of like low hanging fruit when you're dealing with Hinkle. Like, yeah, but he absolutely, and it actually kind of made me like Drew Pavlou, because it was like, well, this is kind of what honestly people on the right kind of need to hear if they are at all kind of mystified about, and a lot of people on the right, quite frankly, are, they are, there is still this suicidal Putin cult that exists on the right, which is, I'm sorry to say, some of the most prominent people and the right dissident right wing are promoting Putin, like Colette and Fuentes and Alex
No, I
Jones
mean,
to a
just see what
degree.
like the retarded shit Hinkle says. He's like, "Oh, we need to
Yeah,
fight against Ukraine because they're actually Nazis." It's like, wow,
yeah,
wow, great discourse there, buddy.
it's really brainless. Yeah, he's really not smart. Like he takes it to a completely different level. It's ridiculous. So it's kind of like, but yeah, like yeah, Pavlou. It's very entertaining to watch. Just Pavlou completely, just yeah, dominate him.
Yeah, I'm
But
surprised to hear that. I'm surprised to hear that
mm,
Pavlou could actually debate because
yeah,
from that showing I saw yesterday, I assumed he was just like had no
mm,
idea what he's even doing.
yeah,
Which is
yeah.
sort of true.
Yeah. Basically, I don't know what his tech was in that debate, but anyway, it did not work. Completely deflated in front of his own audience too. But yeah, it's I'm really white pilled about so I'm white pilled about that. That was good, but also really white pilled about what Owens is doing, again for the right, and for nationalist. I guess causes in a way by shedding light on this issue, which is perhaps the biggest issue, because it's quite timely in a way, because we talking about the food aid truck bombing to Gazans, that Israel committed a crime, that the IDF and the Israel Defense Forces have been using an AI, an artificial intelligence called lavender, like the flower,
Yeah.
and this is being used with a 80% accuracy rate, supposedly, to kill kill combatants. Now, I don't know
AI
about that.
what do you mean it's being used? Like used in what way?
Oh, that through drones?
Or is it like a kamikaze drone or something?
Yeah, I think it's I think it might even be, yeah, I think it might just bomb people or something like that. But I don't know if it kamikazes like the Ukrainian
Yeah, well, I mean,
Predator
those are sort of
drones.
AI. A lot of these kamikaze drones are literally, they sit there until they see something that looks like a tank and then they go hit it.
Oh, okay. But the thing is that you know, if the Jews get a hold of AI, you know, and they really, you know, develop, you know, they really get the latest developments from Americans and Germans, German and American scientists, um, this could be quite catastrophic
Yeah,
to our future on the internet, you know, and well, just our general future, really. So it's really important that we really push for this very issue that Owens is, you know, pushing for, quite frankly, and it's important that everybody's cognizant of it because that is the new world order, and
absolutely.
yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one, and you know, it's honestly just like we don't want to, you know, hurt anybody. We've never, you know, I've certainly never heard anybody, you know, that we know say that, Hector. But you know, this is a, but they want to hurt us. Actually, I mean,
Oh yeah,
we
of course
see,
they do.
yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they
like we
are
just
hurting
saw,
us.
liberal
Mm,
ideas just don't hold up. Like the liberalism
mm,
is in a crisis.
And they're
They
harming us. They've taken this abhorrent form where it's harming white people primarily and everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, what you think they
I
got? I mean, you already see it with like in
yeah.
places like Taiwan and Asia and
Mm,
Thailand. It's not just the West that's being harmed by liberal ideas. It's spreading. It's spreading to the entire world, and
mm.
like the Middle East, Asia isn't going to be that far behind.
I don't even know if you can call it liberalism anymore because it's taken such a abominable
Well, I mean,
form. What we see here, it's a, I think it's a completely different animal. To
globo homo is probably a better way to put it, I guess.
yeah, to what it was first conceived as, because at its first conception, it's kind of with the Magna Carta, right? It's kind of more similar to what we believe, you know, as I think I've discussed with you before, Hector. Would you agree or disagree with that? I mean, with the monarchies not being allowed to, you know, have you know who's, you know, charging interest and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that there was a presence of some awareness of what we are trying to speak of in these modern times. So yeah, it's so it's kind of become different uh, a different thing. You know, I'm not even sure. You know, I think it's just globalism, and this is largely a Marxist thumb we are under that parades itself as a kind of liberalism, as a kind of capitalism. But really, it goes back to these self-sabotaging Marxist ideas that will infiltrate both the left and the right, um, which is ultimately
yeah,
what I believe we're really trying to fight against. And but yeah, it's something to think about. You know, we really need to push this issue fast because the prospects of AI could be limitless. And if the Jays are at the head of that, as they are with a lot of technology, they have their fingers in a lot of pies, and America and German intelligence and Russian intelligence. So it's just like, yeah, people, we better think fast and get this sorted. You know, where
yeah,
we can have justice for all.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, AI is an issue. It'll be interesting. I mean, we'll see what happens there. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe you'll have like competing AIs. You'll have like the Zog AI, then you'll have the Epic like based AI battling each other. I don't really know how that's going to turn out. Uh,
That's
but
cool. I like that. Yeah.
Jason Walker in chat says, I was wondering if Endeavour News was going to have Zane on. Zane always has good takes. Well, that's up to Zane. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's sort of the end of the show. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed the topics we covered. As always, remember to be open with your ideals. Always oppose globalism, mass migration, open borders, all these sort of things. Zog in your day-to-day life. If someone brings up something like cost of living, be sure you tell them why cost of living is out of control and why the standards are declining in Western countries and around the world, probably because of mass migration, globalism, and uh, open labor markets.
Mm.
So, uh, anything you want to finish off with, Gil? Because I think we're sort of finishing off now.
Yeah, just hope you guys had a good break. Keep up the good fight, you know. continue disseminating this information. You're as much a part of the fight as we are, and continue to be onto it and successful. And no matter what, there's all kinds of things you may be feeling like you can't do anything. I hear everybody say that. What can I do? I'm just one person. But you can. If you got friends, you got family, and especially if you got nieces and nephews, there is absolutely something you can do, and that's talking to them, and that's being an influence in their life, being an influence in everybody's life, and making sure that in the right way, don't give them the big juicy steak first that they can't handle, but give them the glass of orange juice, give them the glass of milk, warm milk first, and you can absolutely have a huge impact, and then they will have a huge impact on other people's lives as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
this is and that's just through talk. There's all kinds of other ways that we can orient ourselves, guys. So you know don't ever think that you're not worth it or something like that. You can absolutely 110% do something about, and we need all you guys. You are a basic requirement that we have to have you doing these things each and every day, um, in order to have victory. We have to have everybody together operating in this way. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, mm,
All right.
that's all I'll say.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks everyone watching the replay as well. Shout out to Replay Gang. Shout out to everyone in chat. We'll see you all next week, probably.
Yeah.
Have a great week.